Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to today's Water Cooler Chat, where we talk about all things Livepeer, whether it's delegating, broadcasting, orchestrating, delegating, developing, or AI inference. We're here to ask questions and get answers. We've got a couple topics ahead of us. We're going to talk a bit about the Agent SPE and the AI SPE and their developments, as well as Eliza character creation, a draft proposal for more funding for open source stuff, and just some general topics around what's cooking in the Livepeer ecosystem. So I want to kick us off with, again, just some governance things before we dig really deep into technical things. Jason, you had a pre-proposal, looks like a draft proposal for funding of open source projects. Can you give us an overview of what your proposal is and give, I haven't read it, this is the first I've heard about it, so give us a quick highlight of what it is and what you're looking to get funding for.
So we have been talking about creating an entity for supporting projects that are used in Livepeer for like over 6 months. I think it's been a long time now. The main idea was that we are using a lot of contribution from developers, like open source developers that are dedicating their time and effort in maintaining things. And as a Livepeer, we have an opportunity and a treasury to fund those projects and make a name for a Livepeer as a community supporter as well. So this is a first step towards that, and there are a lot of projects that are being used. I have a list on the proposal itself, and if you guys can check out and give feedback on it and any other projects we might include in that, that would be really nice.
So this is a funding for general open source development or open source development specifically that Livepeer uses the technology?
Yeah, the second, yeah, we where Livepeer has. I think we have OpenCV, Matplotlib, a lot of uh, projects that are specifically used in Livepeer, not the general. I would like to support every open source project available, but I don't think that would be feasible to ask from the community or the treasury. So we're focusing on those projects we are using in a Livepeer. So.
Cool. And is this an SPE that's in charge of handing out the funds, or is this like a one-time payment directly to contributors? How is it structured?
So the period for the funding is a year. So it will be handled as an SPE. So some of the projects in the list, they do not have either GitHub or where you can't directly send them LPT if you want to support them. So you would need to contact them and either convert the LPT to USDC or any other fiat. So that would require an entity to handle the regulation and tax stuff. So you need a SPE sort of a organization to handle those things. So it will be for like a year, handing out the contribution monthly.
Excellent. Okay, cool. Yeah, like I said, I haven't read through it yet, so I think it's a good opportunity for people to take the time to read through it and comment on the forum post and bring it up for discussion. So just wanted to thank you for putting forward another initiative, and looking forward to following the progress on it.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, let's continue on. We've got topics around the AI and the AI and the Agent SPE. So I'll quickly give an update for those around the Agent SPE. We officially had our proposal passed, and funding is now in the SPE. So we can go ahead and kind of officially announce that the SPE is live and active. So we've got a roadmap, internal roadmap on things we're going to be checking off and getting sorted out. And looking forward to that. We did last week get our final our official pull request integrated into the development branch of Eliza. So the Eliza development branch now does image and LLM inference for any Eliza agent. Now we have to wait roughly 1 to 2 weeks before we can get into the stable release, main branch, or at least the next stable release. So we're stuck in the development branch, which is full of bugs and oftentimes doesn't work. So we're kind of just in limbo until we get into the stable release that we start pushing it to people for people to use. So while we're waiting for our integration to get up to that stable release, we are building a couple things. On my end, we're building a tutorial where you can earn $100 in Livepeer following a tutorial on how to launch an AI agent Livepeer. And so for those that don't see, I just posted it. I'm not really publishing it yet because it doesn't work. I think a Papa Bear can attest to it. He was my first beta tester, and it's running into all type of build issues, I guess. So yeah, but if anyone wants to attempt the tutorial, please either reach out or ask for the link. Looking to get some critical feedback on, the ease of the tutorial, whether it's cohesive and it makes sense, so that when I publish it and use it, it's clean start to finish. Now, in doing so, I will be putting out a video tutorial, but I want to get the written tutorial really tight before I do the video tutorial. That way I can include all that feedback. So yeah,
I was gonna say, I mean, it did work. I mean, I saw some, depreciated, some errors about some stuff being depreciated and stuff, but it worked. I mean, I posted, it posted for me on Twitter. So
I'm
I mean, it
pretty sure
did
you
work.
used
I
the
didn't know
troll
what,
character.
yeah. So yeah, a lot of caps and some, kind of some crazy thoughts there. So I didn't know what to do with it though after it was up and running because I just yeah, I was like, I don't need this posting on my Twitter every 2 hours. But yeah, so I just didn't know what to do after it was up. But as far as like it following the instructions, I mean, it was literally copy paste, and it just worked. So you mentioned that it didn't work, but I just wanted to clarify that it does work.
Okay, great. Yeah, so the development branch did work, but not without showing some errors. Like those errors were
Yeah.
probably not real. It didn't actually stop the program, I guess.
No, I just wasn't sure if it was going, and then I looked at my Twitter, and I was like, oh, it's working. So yeah, yeah, you had something where it showed like some logs at the towards the bottom, so I was expecting that to come up. But other than that, it was basically just copy paste, and I mean, it's simple to get going.
Yeah, I think for the tutorial, I mean that is the tutorial. You literally just used Livepeer to make that post, right? So, I mean that was it. That is the integration. So then your mind can kind of wander from there on what you can do with it, right? Because there's only really 2 or 3 other things you can do with it right now that makes sense to the average person, which is like, okay, you can hook it up to your Twitter, so it posts for you every 2 hours. If you want that, you would, most people are supposed to be most people will create a separate Twitter account that's kind of like an agent, right? So it's not posting on their behalf; it's its own thing, right? Which requires you to go make
Yeah,
a Twitter account, a new one, and tough or annoying or unnecessary.
I mean, it just depends on, like you said, what you want to do with it. For me personally, I probably would have rather had it be a little like, I probably should have set it up as a Discord bot or a Telegram so I could interact with it because like could I have responded to what it wrote and would it respond back to me?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
And I can,
yeah, in the Twitter client,
in Twitter,
in
yeah.
Twitter.
Uh-huh.
So this is a good thing because the tutorial. So what happened is it sounded like I did the setup process of the tutorial clear and solid, but at the end it was almost lackluster because it was like, I don't know. Okay, I got it launched, but now what do I do? So maybe the tutorial needs to include something more concrete to do, right?
But isn't that creative freedom though? Like it's up to the user what they want to do with their agent. Like I see dozens, whether they're, launching managing a token to, like Papa Bear was saying, you get the thing on Discord or you get it on Telegram and it interacts, with the community. Like if you're in the Eliza Discord, you talk in the discussion, one of the chat rooms
The
there,
arena.
and the thing talks shit to you. It's hilarious. Like I cracked up. I knew it was an agent, but it was funny. It's like, all right, I'm gonna go take a nap. All right, I'm busy right now. And I'm like, oh my God, this thing's funny. So like there is plenty of use case for it. You just have to be creative.
So,
I would love go ahead.
so what I'm thinking though, like, no, you're right. You're absolutely right. You want to be creative, but in my tutorial, I don't include instructions on how to hook it up to your Discord or how to hook it up to your Telegram, right? And so I wonder if I need to add those sections in there so that it's more obvious that, hey, I can hook this up to Discord and now I can interact with it, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
Titan, I think to also maybe if we create some scripts so that people, if they're not very technical, they can just um, run the script and go through with the integration. I think it can be even better.
Yeah.
I think maybe, and okay, so coming from a gentleman who's not that advanced, okay, what he just said, is that like how I was able to get the Trump chatbot that I created? I just grabbed the code, the script from the Eliza framework off of the GitHub, and I just put in I just copied
Yes.
it all and I just put in what I needed to. Okay, cool. Yeah, that would make it very easy. Easier, like for someone like me.
Yeah, because it will be just copy paste, and then they don't need to know that they will go to the file and change the client to be like that, and then they have to copy their Discord bot ID or whatever. I mean, that if we can streamline that part where they need to generate a bot ID, that would be great because just the thought of people, a lot of people will want to launch a Discord agent, but they will not be able because they will have to go and see how do I have my bot ID, how I create the Discord client. So if we can streamline that, it will be great for them.
Like Top Hat, is one framework that I have used that you can create an AI agent, bond it to a token. It can create a token. It can bond. Like it bonds to the token. You can set it up in Telegram, Discord, and X. You can do all this in 30 minutes. Like when you just put some stuff in a box, right? That's just their user interface, how they have it set up. But the easier you make it for people, like a common person, because not everybody, a majority of this who's in DeFi doesn't know their head from their ass when it comes to anything Python related or how to even use it, like how to access their terminal. They wouldn't know their first thing, so that's just an opinion, like, from a basic user standpoint. I don't know if that helps.
Yeah. I want to be careful of building too many like scripts and user facing things for people to, because there's already like a lot of people doing that, and that's not our goal, right? Like we're an inference provider, right? So we should be able to, like, if you use Top Hat to launch your agent, there should be a drop down that says, use Livepeer on the back end for your inference, right? So like,
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I agree. I mean, I think maybe just for your guide, maybe just a couple of links to some additional information so you don't have to walk them through an entire, like how to, you know, how to optimize your agent or how to like go further than just because, I mean, really what, I mean, at least my impression was that here's how you could use Livepeer and you're set and you're good to go. And you don't have to use Open AI or, uh, I'm blanking on the other names, but like another AI provider. Um,
yeah,
so I mean,
Anthropic.
yeah, I wouldn't get. Yeah, thank you. I I wouldn't get too caught up with like, the issues that not issues, but like, like what I brought up with, I didn't know what to do with it afterwards, because I don't think that's, what the goal of it is telling someone how to run an AI. It's really getting Livepeer to power it.
Yeah, because the other thing is like we are targeting developers, so like all the developers need to do is like follow the docs, and they will figure it out without super simple tutorial, right? But I just wanted to provide.
That's a good point too. Yeah,
right. Like we are targeting like, when I first built the tutorial, I thought to myself, okay, do I have to explain that you need to get a virtual machine? Because developers know about virtual machines. Do I have to explain how to install Node and PNPM, right? And I thought to myself, well, so every tutorial I've done, they start with this. Okay, so you've got your machine ready and PNPM's installed. Okay, so all you have to do now is, clone repo, change this, and you're way to go. Okay, that's simple. And then I go to install Node and PNPM, but what you don't realize is you need Node 23.3, and if you have anything newer or older, it like doesn't work. And it's like that's like hidden in the docs. Like you have to look for it in the Eliza docs, and it's like, and like I've never dealt with PNPM before. What is PNPM? Like, this isn't working. And so most of my development time was stuck just getting to the point where the other developers started. And so I thought, well, why don't we just give at least developers a layup where it's like, here's an environment that we started in, right? We want Ubuntu 24, and you need at least 8 gigs of RAM. So go to DigitalOcean. That's what you need. Okay. Second, here are the exact commands to get Eliza to work, because if you do this wrong, it's not going to work. So, and then the third is, all right, here's a very simple integration of how to use Livepeer. Now, go on your way. You are a developer. You have loads of ideas. You can now flutter on your way and figure it out. And I don't want to be like targeting newbies. I just wanted to like at least just give somebody a layup, so they like, if you're a developer and you're just like don't know why Node isn't responding, it's like at least you have something to like reference. Oh, okay, here, this is that's kind of like my tutorial. Like I don't know how newbie I want to go, right?
Well, my whole thing
Right,
is you talk to these developers, right? Define probably doesn't have the bandwidth to take on more projects. You talk to a lot of these guys, you pull them away from their project that they're working on something else. You're pretty much telling them to come. That's just what I see, right? A lot of these guys are busy. They're here in the trenches working. I mean, a lot of these guys don't sleep. They're up all hours of the night and just working. That's just what I see. I'm not just optic, right? You talk to these guys and they're just developing, for lack of a better term.
I could provide some feedback.
Just go ahead, Phoenix.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on what you were saying about starting off really basic. I think that's important, even, because it does lure in people that aren't completely or aren't developers or aren't as technically advanced. But the other thing I've noticed is some guys that are developers, or whichever level they're at, they're not even sure that you need 8 gigs of RAM to run one agent. So even just little bits of information like that, people will catch glimpses that will actually help people. So I think just starting basic and then getting more complicated, and it's not a waste of space essentially to have it start like that. I think personally.
So totally agree with Phoenix. And what I have to say here is that, okay, yes, it is marketed towards developers. This is the main market. But even if you're a developer, there is a big difference depending on what you use to set up your stuff. So right now, because we do some setups with ComfStream, I found out that we do not have a Docker file for setting up ComfyStream and ComfyUI. So every time that something goes wrong or you need to do something, it may take you half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours to do that setup. So having a very clean Docker installation, which enables out of the box for users to run a Livepeer configuration, and you also have the Discord, Telegram, and every other relevant client activated already for them. And the only thing that they have to do is to select the file, the character file. That's great for them. And this is why lately they have started to build solutions where you can run from runpod. You can press a button in the Eliza repository and launch on runpod, and this will be a clean environment where you don't need to focus your development time at setting up. So I think if we follow the same approach, have a Docker file ready, it will just relieve all the pain points of the developers.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can see how. Yeah, I think I'm just trying to solidify what benefits Livepeer and what time. Like, like if we start building Docker files where people can very simple agents, I think that's great. But the Eliza ecosystem's already doing that. We just have to promote them to use Livepeer as the target LLM inference or the target inference, right? Like, I think that is the actual goal of Livepeer, right?
Yes, but we will have. Mhm. Please go ahead, Maya.
No, I mean, like, I just want to be honest with you, DeFi. And like when you said earlier, like that's closed source. So Peter was at my house the other day, and the Hollow Zone app, right, running, like they're going to go cross chain. That thing's going to be XRP and a bunch of other places. So I'm like, okay, you said it's closed source. I have no idea what that means. It's closed source. He uses Llama 3, which is something, according to Peter, we can plug and play with. You know, but you say it's closed source. To me, I don't even know what that term means. So I don't know exactly, like, so if projects that are building on the Eliza framework are closed source, like who are we after? Like, because that's kind of what I'm asking is like, who the heck am I going after then? Because I need a list of like 100, I don't know how
Totally.
to identify if something is a closed source or not. Like, I don't even know how to look at that.
So allow me
You figured that
to
out pretty
explain
quickly.
because
So
yes, I didn't explain properly. So just saying that it's closed source, it doesn't explain everything that needs to be explained. So I took a look at Holo, the Holo protocol, and it enables you to create token face and set them up. But to my knowledge, maybe I didn't think thoroughly enough. It does not enable you to be a provider, okay, and then create the output, create what you need. So both the product and the provider, they maybe use Llama or whatever other open source model, but I'm not able to go back on the back side of the code and on the back end of the code and change the provider from be Llama, for example, to be Livepeer or to be even another provider. I cannot do that. So the projects that we are looking to are projects that we as Livepeer, we can go and say, okay, there are other providers, or we can be the main provider here, and we can do that through open source coding. So this is what we did on Eliza. Eliza has different providers where you can actually click in and do the inference. So outside the Flyver, they have many other providers. So we said, okay, this is an open project, so we can commit our code and it will be accepted and reviewed, etc. If you have something like Holo, So we cannot commit our code. We may be able to do some close partnership where you have the SPE to speak to the corp and maybe things will go through, but it's neither as fast or, as you understand, has issues. So, but this is for me, I don't know, like Titan may have another or different approach on that. Like, I'm not sure if we are all aligned on that, but this is my let's say my take on that and on what protocols we need to approach.
So, Defon, are you saying you would like to approach closed source projects and offer to be a provider for them?
No. Not that. I'm just saying that we are targeting open source protocols
Yeah.
that need an inference provider, and this is the protocols that we're really looking at. So when I said to Mayor, and this was potentially my mistake because I didn't clarify well enough what protocols we need to, and they say this is closed source, so it's not good. I didn't just mean that it's closed source. I meant that it's, yes.
What,
Just
and I just
ambiguate
dropped a
here
link.
for a sec. If I wouldn't it be worth noting that I think we're talking about frameworks that we can see on GitHub that are open source.
Yes.
So it would be the most frictionless path to getting us as a provider would be opening a pull request to those repos and communicating that
Exactly.
to the repo owners. Yeah. Obviously, there's a lot more work that would be going into trying to convince Top Hat or this other agent platform to use Livepeer, but potentially an avenue. But you're right, obviously a lot faster to go through an open source PR.
So if you're going like if you're a third person and you're looking for protocols to do this kind of integration to approach or to have in your list, first you see like the market cap that they have. Do they have affiliations? What kind of what revenue can theoretically provide to the network? And then I would be taking if that protocol has some open source code base where people can submit the code, and then it's and then
Well, could
I
we
think
even
it's
need
a
to look at
requirement.
ones that have token? I mean, could be just a framework for agents. They may not have, a presence directly on any chain, but just literally people creating software agents, like
Yes,
even something like
and it's about
on
the
a chain.
stars and the forks, and I think, and the kind of outreach that they have to the community if they don't have a token.
Yeah, the size of the developer community would obviously be a consideration. The number of
The size of
users.
the developer community in DeFi is so minute. I just assume that this is like we want to go and like make this and put this in everybody's hands. AI is like out there; it's in everyone's faces. They want to use it.
Right, which is why we find the
Yeah.
open source frameworks that are being used, which two things, the open source ones most likely have the most users in terms of developers. Well, because if it's a hosted platform, you don't have people building on the platform other than people who are paying the platform. And being an open source project ourselves, I think that makes sense to align ourselves with people who are building products.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the reasons why the Agent SPE, just in our proposal, we're just focusing on Eliza right now because it is the number one repo. It is popular AI agent framework, so we're gonna think we do need to focus on that. I guess my questions are around the tutorial and like how simple do I want to make it, and whether we are targeting new developers, experienced developers, or these kinds of things. So as it stands, I think it is still developer. Like if you're an advanced developer, you're gonna scroll right past the set up your virtual machine and install node. Like you're probably gonna look at that and be like, hey, yeah, just scroll quick to the bottom. Okay, I see the implementation here. Great. And if you're a new developer, it might just be give you some context around actually setting up the environment to get your own agent going, and then from there, unlock the world of Eliza, which goes deep. So, I think it's just.
Titan,
Go ahead, Devan.
if I can propose for, I think there are two workflows to take into account here. So we have the first flow where there are people who already have Eliza installed and they're in contact with, and they know Eliza. And we just want to persuade them to move to Livepeer to enjoy some benefits there. And there are the people that they do not know Eliza yet, and there may even be less technical than the first category of people. So I think for category one, it's good to have the tutorials as you already, and just have them change their environmental variables to Livepeer, and that's good. And for the second category, to have a tutorial, like the tutorial, the first one, with people that they are relevant to Eliza, they can skip, and have the second category of people just, this is a Docker container which you can pull from there, and it will make their life a lot of easier.
Great. So I think what's come out of this conversation is, let's categorize the two pipelines. One, we have
Yes.
developers already building on Eliza. These are deep in the trenches, and we want to simply offer them Livepeer as inference. So the current tutorial I've put out kind of completes that. And then, so that's the first pipeline. The second pipeline is people who don't know about Eliza. They're not developers, in which case we want to give them an experience of, a one-click deploy or some sort of end user experience that they want, right? So maybe like you can package it up as, here's your Discord helper bot, and this one-click deploy uses it, and it's all configured, and it's all attached into Livepeer on the back end, and we can push that on the masses because it's a simple thing to understand. So is that kind of what, just to sum up what you're saying?
Yes, exactly. Just have two categories: people who already know about Eliza and use it, people who didn't know about Eliza or they don't have it set it up. In the second category, as you exactly said, just have it ready to work out of the box for them and be able to do anything with one click. And so you have already Livepeer set it up and everything else. Yeah.
So our first target market is going to be developers already building on Eliza. Because this was another feedback from Papa Bear was, how simple do you want this tutorial to be? And in there I mentioned you have to edit the character file. And he says, well, do you want to explain to people that you have, you can use something like Nano to edit the file? And I left that out because I thought, well, if you're a developer or you've dealt with any of this stuff, like you probably know how to edit a file on a virtual machine. So I left that out. And it was like, is it too much noise to add that back in? But if we're going to be targeting people who are already running Eliza, then probably can just leave that out. But it is help to bring that context of 8 GB minimum, these are the commands, this kind of thing. So I like that approach. So the first one is going to be the current tutorial is around developers who are already using Eliza, and just give them extra context on how to get to where your environment is. In which case, Mayor, your outreach is going to be pretty limited because you're very technical, and I feel like Twitter Spaces are not having those type of discussions. These are going to be the discussions happening in Eliza Discord. one-on-one help with people. And then when we get that pipeline going and we have some feedback, then we can start working on, maybe a more of a productized, like one-click deploy. Here's your agent bot that screams at people or something.
So for Twitter, which I've talked about to define, which we'll talk about afterwards. We don't need to continue that conversation, but yeah, like having, Livy live in spaces, and if I could go, that's fun. Like people love it. They get, it's and that will showcase Livepeer as a organization. Like, hey, this is who we are. People, because no one knows who Livepeer is.
I would say, Mayor, your number one kind of thing is to bring awareness to people that Livepeer does inference for Eliza, because most people just don't even know it happens. And so developers, when they hear that, they'll go, oh, okay, and they'll go look up the documentation themselves and be able to plug it in. Like, they usually don't need help, right? So just the awareness that we do inference for Eliza is a big push. Now, the developers that hear it, they will go and implement it. For the average user, I mean, it'll be knowledge. And if we have a really cool front-end product like Livy, who can join you in a Twitter Spaces and talk, that brings some nice, good PR, good marketing to it. So, yeah, I think that's a good. Okay. Anyways, so define. Go ahead.
For the Livy stream to Twitter, so currently it's not supported by Eliza, but what we can actually do, Mayor, and have here with you is I have created a Livy Twitter. Also, I wasn't able to connect, I don't know, because the account was new or whatever reasons, I was able to connect on the client. But we can do the Livy agent on Discord, which has voice option, and then with some way made the voice output go on the Twitter account. So I will just join you with that account, and then we will hook it up with the Discord bot voice output, and it can work in that way. So we can have it in, but before you want to have it, just let me know at least one day before, so I can make sure that the setup is concrete.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Perfect. Cool. Okay, I want to move on from that topic, because that was a big topic, and yeah, it's just guidance, trying to get cohesion on new initiative and getting those first 100 developers to use Livepeer. We're giving away $100 worth of LPT, and to anyone who builds on top of Livepeer over the 2 months. It's kind of the push. So that just helps to bring some content. The next topic is around the AI and SPE convergence. So Define, do you want to tell us about what you mean by that, what challenges you're seeing, and how these different SPEs need to work with each other in order to provide a good product for developers?
Okay, so we had an amazing talk with John today, where a lot of things became clear. So the plugin, we're creating a streaming plugin, which will allow Eliza agents to basically stream autonomously on Twitch and other platforms. So this is the aim of the current product of the SPE of what we're building, where of course everyone can imagine the positive implications that this can have for the network. But we want that to be as AI orchestrators' jobs, else there is no point of doing that. And so to do that, we have to use what Livepeer offers for that. So what Livepeer offers is ConfiStream. So we had a discussion today with John about how ConfiStream will be used from Inc. to offer the pipelines, how that is going to be integrated with the orchestrators. And what John suggested is to create the plugin, the VTuber, as a ComfyUI workflow. And whatever is in the ComfyUI workflow, it will eventually run as AI jobs from the orchestrators. So we both agreed that there are some issues with the ComfyStream deployment. So right now we do not have a Docker deployment, which makes troubleshooting a lot harder than it should actually be. And so we agreed that tomorrow I will be working on Dockerizing ComfyStream just to make our work simpler and better and way faster. And for anything else that, or if we find other common items during the development journey of the plugin, we will also work together for resolving them.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, so you're working with John from the AI SPE, and that kind of allows us to work in tandem, which is excellent. So I do appreciate the effort you're putting into that. And yeah, I'm looking forward to. So is that primarily what you're working on now? Now that we have the image gen and the LLM gen pushed to Eliza, now you're working with the AI SPE team closely to build out the live video portion, the Eliza integration. Is that correct?
Almost 100% correct. The only discrepancy is that we're now working to Dockerize a component which is required for the plugin to run. If there are any other points that need communications from both teams, of course, I will assist on that. And the plugin is still self-contained as our task, so we are not developing together, but we're working in common on task about ComfyStream.
Hey guys, I just wanted to add some clarity there since I met this morning with George. So one of the issues that we're seeing with our custom node installations, you have like ComfyUI Manager and Comfy CLI. Usually you're able to just install nodes through that. So right now we're going through nodes where we have forked, kind of like probably what the Agent SPE will have to do, and working on making them compatible with ComfyUI Manager, following all the standards for publishing them in the registry for ComfyUI Manager. And that'll allow our install to be much cleaner and make it much easier for people can just go and get it, let's say a SAM2 node or a Stream Diffusion node, and use those in their workflows. So there's some other things we're working on. We have like a script that pretty much ties this all together. And so that's really the work that's going to go into what George is working on with the Docker file. So Docker file provides more of the environment, and we provide more of the installation in the environment. I think that's where we're aligned.
Excellent. Yeah, so it sounds like there's that synergy happening where we can work closely with you guys on getting that going. Pretty excited about that.
Yep. At the end of the day, there should be multiple ways. I mean, ultimately, we need something that's automated and testable on the ComfyStream side that developers can iterate on. But also, it should be easy for a workflow developer to just grab one of the custom nodes and use them as they want.
Yeah, and currently that it's not the case. So there are issues with ComfyStream and with integrating different workflows, or when you want to swap a workflow to another, you may have incompatible nodes, as John said. So because the plugin at the end will use those workflows to power up the VTuber stream, we need to work together to resolve all these issues. So whatever it can be done, it will be done to help with that.
And there are some examples of like LLM based custom nodes. I did find one. I'm not, I know that the one the repository you're basing off of VTuber, it's got a whole UI like Comfy Stream does. So I wonder how you plan to pare that down into a custom node. There's some other examples maybe you can use as a framework. That'll be interesting.
So just some time before I was thinking that porting the VTuber as the VTuber repo as a custom node may be a bit pointless or time waste. So what we can do instead is to actually create a custom node or a series of nodes that they basically allow you to create a VTuber inside Comfy UI and then connect it with the rest of ComfyStream ComfyStream relevant workflows and nodes. And so I was looking, and if you have two divergent branches of nodes in your ComfyStream, so if you have one node where you build image and another node where you build audio, then it's all running on parallelism. So I think that we can have a workflow where it creates the image of the VTuber like it, and that in ComfyStream will be translated as the video of the VTuber and also the audio, so the words that they will use, and have everything run there. So you have the whole process on Comfy UI. This was what I was thinking regarding.
Yeah, one piece that seems critical is the audio support on Comfy Stream, just the output. I know there's been some work on that pending, but that seems like that'll help the SP a bit.
So you think we need to talk to someone who is working on that from the AISP?
Actually, I don't think they're on RS. Does anyone know who's been working on the audio support for Comfy Stream? Yonda knows, or we can probably post it in the hacker channel. I looked at it and see a PR this morning, and George and I were looking at it, but I think there's audio support coming to Comfy Stream, but in this case, we don't really need audio input. We just need the audio and video output.
Output, yes.
Right. So I know that support's been developed, and it might be simple to just add it as an output to begin with.
Or to do some changes on how I think right now ComfyStream does not have a way to handle output audio.
Correct. Yeah. There is a branch somewhere with that support, but I don't know how tested it is. But it should be getting integrated soon. Yeah, I'll post a link in the hacker chat. Try to find out more about that for you.
I mean, we can develop it worst case scenario. If it's not there, I do not believe that it will be crazily difficult to do so.
Excellent. Did we cover all the topics? I think that was covering that topic. Finished, right?
Wanted to just throw another idea out there, and I know Eliza's got quite a bit of mind share right now, but there have been a number of agent frameworks launched open source over the past year plus that already have a pretty good adoption, and maybe not as visible in the Twitter sphere or in crypto. But for instance, LangChain has been doing this for quite a while, and was just curious if the AI SPE had looked into or considering other established open source frameworks like that for building an integration with ostensibly our LLM functionality.
Sorry, were you saying that this is another option for us to build on different frameworks, or what exactly?
Yeah, in terms of getting more people to use Livepeer endpoints for LLMs in their agents.
Yeah, I think the idea around the SPE, the agent SPE, our first goal around the agent SPE was to focus on Eliza, to get a working inference on Eliza and build a use case that these type of frameworks are worth targeting and that they drive traffic to the network, right? So I'm hoping in the next 1 to 2 weeks, when we launch this tutorial and we start driving some traffic and seeing some apps, even if there's a small tick of traffic added to the network in fees, this will give us the ability to go back to the treasury and say, hey, listen, I think this is the way to go. The SPE needs more resources to hire maybe a second developer to explore these other frameworks and add the pipelines that are now existing Livepeer, right? So yeah, I do believe targeting open source frameworks is going to be the way to go. However, with the limited resources we have, I think we're just going to focus on Eliza and get that kind of buttoned down, make sure that the Livepeer network can handle inference, make sure that it is robust with orchestrators that can do the work, making sure that at least one integration with one framework works really well and that it's an enjoyable process. And then from there, we can expand into different open source frameworks. That's kind of the thought process I have in mind. Now, other people might have different ideas, and I'm open to hear those. But that was kind of the initial, hey, let's get the funding, let's get Define working, let's get a proof of concept going, and we expand to different frameworks. Because yeah, each framework is going to have its own developer costs to get in, its own dealing and maintaining the quality service, and takes a lot of money. Kind of the trajectory of the SPE.
So just a comment on that item. So Peter, I do agree that there are maybe some big markets which we can integrate image and LM. I also agree with Titan saying that yes, first let's see at least some statistics from Eliza. Now, I do believe that if it's not 10 or 20 partner networks, we can still handle it. So if it's about adding the 2 or 3 biggest networks under the on adding Livepeer as a provider on the 2 or 3 biggest networks, I believe we can do that. So if there a market for that, there is a considerable spike after the release of the version and the release of the tutorials. We can add at least virtuals and maybe a couple of others without too much overhead and without too much maintenance. The problems start if you want to integrate 4 or 5 and handle every one of them together, because you may have platform dependent errors that you will have to solve there. So my opinion is, if it goes good on the alpha launch and we see that it's actually generates right now lots of money for the protocol, we can go to virtuals, which is, by the way, the same size or even bigger than than Eliza, and we can add Livepeer as provider there, and maybe to another network. Over branching, it will definitely need another developer. But for 2 or 3, it's okay. I can handle it even working with the plugin in parallel.
Got it. Cool.
Yeah, another option for Livepeer to get more inference requests is to integrate with something like OpenRouter, which isn't a framework itself, but rather a broker of inference, I think is kind of how they work. They'll have more to. I actually use them, but I still don't know exactly how they work. But what it does is they basically receive the credits, they have APIs, and then they hand off the inference to other service providers. And they take obviously a spread, and then the idea is you can go to one place for all your inferencing. You have to mess around with, having an OpenAI key and then an Anthropic key and then a Livepeer gateway and all this stuff. So it might be worth like reaching out to OpenRouter and seeing if we can do inference for them and things like that. That is nothing to do with agents, but generic.
I agree that
No,
that's a cool idea.
Yes.
So, because I'm using OpenRouter, which falls in line exactly with our next topic of why. But, yeah, it's we want to explore that avenue. Okay, let's. Go ahead, John.
Quick question for George, if just about like the Eliza as a Web3 framework. So we were talking earlier about integrating this as a custom node and it being like either a third-party service or integrated, in the action and running inside of Comfy UI. Just if you could recap the architectural plan there, if you know yet. Like, will the LLM part Eliza actually run in Comfy UI, or is that going to be another instance outside the Livepeer network?
No, so it will not be some instances outside of the Livepeer network be run inside Comfy UI. So the plan right now is to have different nodes for the LM. So you have the Live2D model as a node, which basically takes the input and the out, which can be the chat of the users or any kind of prompt, which basically directs what the position will be of the body and whatever. So that will be the image produced, and then as the model, and then you have an audio output, which will basically take the messages of the messaging user, and it will then run a text-to-speech model, which will then output the audio that the VTuber will use, and that also
Makes sense.
yes. So this is what I have right now. It's still a bit murky, so I haven't finished with all the diagrams, and I really want to, because Eric asked for that, to study a bit more about how to do the plugins with Eliza and if there are limitations there before I laid out everything. But to answer that, yes, I think everything will be inside Comfy UI.
Yeah, I was looking at the Open LM VTuber, and that's Python. When I looked at the Eliza repo, I saw it was like Node, and so I was a little confused for a moment. I definitely see how the Open LM VTuber will fit.
Yes, it's not a port per se of the OpenLM VTuber because it will just make everything complicated. Just creating the VTuber to be composed inside the Comfy UI, and that's part of the Comfy UI nodes.
Cool.
Sorry, I stepped away for a second. Are we good with that topic?
Yep, that's all. Thanks.
Yep.
Okay. I think it's our last topic now is just around Eliza character generation. Topic by Papa Bear. And I just wanted to provide a resource here. People who are looking to, and maybe this is something I need to add to the tutorial, which was, okay, you can use these default characters and they're very generic, and it takes a lot of work to build characters, like a ton of work to build like a really good character. And so there is this like tool here that's called the Eliza character builder generator. And the way you would use it is if you open it up, obviously it has all the sections that you would put in. So character details, style, lore, bio, like all this stuff. On the left, there's actually an ability to generate character. Now, it's not great, but it's an okay tool if you just want to make something in like a minute. And what you do is you just select your AI model. I would recommend Claude 3 Opus. That seems to be the best one. All the other ones suck. And then this is where you need an open router API key. So as I explained, like to fund this open router thing. And then you have to get really descriptive in your character description. And then there's a button that says generate. And if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page, which is not obvious, there's a section that's called character result. And it will plug in all the things that it generated. So like the bio, the lore, the knowledge. It should put in stuff, styles and all. And you can download it directly as the JSON file that you need to upload into the Agent Eliza character folder, and it'll if anyone wants to mess around with building characters, that's like a tool I haven't really used much, but I think there's really not much out there. And hoping that this gets better over time, generating cool characters. But I just noticed that this website was broken like a week ago, so it wasn't even work. I just tried it now, and it seems to work a little bit. So hopefully it's kind of working. Sorry, Papa Bear. I think that was your topic. Did you have questions on the character file or how it works? The Eliza side? Papa Bear? I feel like I just covered his topic and then I didn't even ask if he was here. But anyway, I can relink this. Pretty selfish. Yeah, so that's basically a lot of the stuff that's happening or maybe he's trying to talk and his microphone's not working. Character gen, or use LLMs or PDFs. The Eliza cat. Yeah, there's going to be a whole industry of people needing to generate interesting characters, and I mean that itself is pretty. Yeah, another one. Cool. Yeah, these are great resources. I'm looking into these, but yeah, a big part of the industry that people want to have, and it's yeah, that's basically covers all the topics for today's water cooler. Do we have anything that hasn't been talked about that we want to cover? We'll open it up to the community. For those that don't know, the two default models for Eliza is the image ByteDance model and the 8 billion llama model. So if you've got a 24 gig card and you want to get in on the LLM work, spin up the 8 billion llama model. And if you've got a card that can do image, then spin up the ByteDance model, because in the next 2 to 3, 1 to 2 weeks, I expect there to be some increased inference on those models. So hopefully we can have so anyone who wants to use Livepeer out of the box, if we could have a good amount of supply on the network, make sure they're in good working order.
Is the code for are the Docker images released for our current work on LLMs there, or do we have to work off of a branch or custom image? I think Papa Bear had an image he had pushed recently.
Rick,
or maybe
if
it was Brad.
here, but it's right now. I know for sure we're all using Brad's Docker custom Docker build. So I think we're still waiting for that.
I'm sure I can
I
find
can
that.
share. I can share the image with you.
Okay, that'd be great.
The AI runner was merged to master, but Go Livepeer. Yeah, so we're still waiting for it. So I'll give you the custom image. You can spin it.
Sweet.
And then we'll be loading from the Agent SPE funds. We'll be loading that into our gateway, so we can start paying people for inference. And hopefully the cloud SPE got their gateway up and send some info to them.
And how do orchestrators get their AI orcs onto? I suppose this is your Eliza Livepeer cloud or Livepeer gateway.
Yeah, so I believe with the latest with Ad Astra's version, it should just be good to go. Because my gateway was picking people who had broken orchestrators, and then it wouldn't leave them. But I think with this LLM pipeline 2, it fixed that. So it should be opened up to all orchestrators. So if you just spin up your orc and accept work, getting hit gateways.
Perfect. Thanks.
And I'll be doing a lot of testing on the gateway side to interact with. I just want to have gateway issues live with the tutorial, and so I think there's still just a lot of reliance and quality things created into Livepeer and successfully devs, and that. So looking forward to that. All right. Well, with that being said, I appreciate everyone being here, making Livepeer the open and decentralized video infrastructure for the world. Are working, cooking code every day for this big movement, inference AI. So here, and please join in on the conversations. Follow along when the tutorial gets launched. I appreciate if people share it, try it out, and get involved. Some more demand on the. Thank you for being here. See you all next week. Cheers.